Syracuse needs wide receiver, and I think they're going to add multiple receivers in the spring portal.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Of course, we are always free and available wherever you get your podcast. And on this week's Poll Friday, I asked you all the question, how many wide receivers do you think Syracuse will add in the spring portal window? And then later on in the show, we'll talk about some of the top targets for Syracuse in this cycle. All that and more here on this edition of Poll Friday on the Locked On Syracuse podcast. Let's set the stage. Syracuse football lost two of its top wide receivers from a year ago. They lost Jackson Meeks, who was out of eligibility and will hopefully hear his name called this weekend in the NFL draft. And in a stunning turn of events that we don't need to completely rehash all over again, they lost Trebor Pena in the transfer portal. And folks, in case you all missed it, Zeed Haynes, one of Syracuse's transfers from a year ago from Georgia, only played a couple of games, missed the rest of the season due to personal matters, thought he might have a pretty big role for the 2025 season. Then it comes out that he retired from football, according to Fran Brown. He retired from football, and then yesterday, April 24th, it comes out that Zeed Haynes is actually entering the transfer portal. So that was a short retirement for Zeed Haynes, but nevertheless, he will not be back with Syracuse football, barring he decides to return to the Syracuse from the transfer portal, which you are allowed to do. You can enter the transfer portal and then return to your former school. So far, Syracuse has made one ad in the transfer portal this offseason, but that was in the last portal cycle. They got Tyshawn Russell from South Carolina. So that's why I asked you all the question, how many wide receivers do you think Syracuse is going to add here in the spring? Let's get to the results. There were over 200 votes this week, and in a landslide at over 55% of the votes, 2 was the winner. Second place was 1 wide receiver, and in third place was 3 or more wide receivers. My thoughts? I think that Syracuse football is going to add 2 wide receivers. So I am in agreement with the majority of you all that voted on this week's Poll Friday. There are a lot of connections, which is part of the reason why I believe that Syracuse is going to add multiple wide receivers. And I want to hear from you. How many wide receivers do you think Syracuse will add in the spring portal cycle? 1, 2, or 3 or more? They have been connected to, at minimum, 6 wide receivers so far in this portal cycle. You got Johntay Cook from Texas or Washington. They got him already for a visit. Hykeem Williams from Florida State. They're getting a visit or have already had the visit with Hykeem Williams. Unclear with the reporting on that, but regardless, Syracuse and Hykeem Williams, that visit has happened or will happen. It's already scheduled. Roy Alexander from UIW. Syracuse has at least reached out to him. You got Keelan Marion from BYU. There's an offer out there for him. Nitro Tuggle from Georgia. Unfortunately, he committed to Purdue, but nevertheless, that was someone that Syracuse was considering. And you also got Raheem Smith from Bowling Green, who, if you check the 24/7 Sports website regarding who Syracuse has been linked to in the transfer portal, you will find his name listed right there. So that's 6 wide receivers. And I am sure, or shouldn't say I'm sure, but I'm fairly confident that that list is probably going to grow as the offseason unfolds. I believe today is actually the last day that players can enter the spring portal window, but keep in mind, grad transfers can enter at any time. And plus, just because they've only reached out to 6 so far doesn't mean that they won't reach out to even more later on, especially if 1 or 2 of their targets come off the board. You got to reach out to someone else if you want to add a wide receiver. So overall, because of the amount of connections that they already have to the receiver position, I think that Syracuse is going to add at least 2 wide receivers. In fact, I will say they will add 2 of them in the portal. I want to hear from you in the comments section below. Do you think Syracuse even needs receiver from the portal? And how many do you think they're going to add in the spring? Comment in the comments section below, because coming up, we'll talk about some of the top targets for Syracuse. That's coming up next on the Locked On Syracuse podcast. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your pair of controllers, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed. As easily as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. If you already have a console, well, a Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your games wherever you plug in. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into some player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Who should Syracuse go after at the wide receiver position in the transfer portal? I want to hear from you in the comments section below. If you could pick 1 or 2 wide receivers in this spring portal cycle, who do you want to see Syracuse go after the most? As far as who Syracuse has been connected to so far, and this is just public information that's out there, you got Johntay Cook, Hykeem Williams, Roy Alexander, Keelan Marion, Nitro Tuggle, and Hykeem Smith. That is 6 wide receivers. Let's get into some of the top targets out of those 6. I think number 1 is BYU wide receiver Keelan Marion, 6 foot, 200 pounds. His stats don't necessarily wow you. They don't jump off the page. Just 24 catches, about 350 yards, and a touchdown last season. However, what makes him valuable is he's one of, if not the best kick returner in the entire country. In fact, last season, he was a first-team All-American kick returner, and he led the nation with over 26 yards per kick return last year. This is important because Syracuse a year ago, they were 12th in average kick return yards per game in the ACC. So they were bottom half in that category. It also should be noted that this is not necessarily a Trebor Pena replacement. I should walk back my earlier comments on that, because if you check College Football Reference and you look at the stats, Trebor Pena last year, he only returned punts. He did not return kicks. Keelan Marion is the opposite. He only returned kicks. He did not return punts. That being said, Keelan Marion, regardless, I think would really help Syracuse's special teams. I don't think that they're going to end up with Keelan Marion, but I do think it would be an awesome addition for Syracuse. And in my opinion, he should be the Orange's top target in this spring portal cycle at the wide receiver position. And then 2 and 3, I think is a tie. So we can just call it 2A and 2B, or 2B and 2A, whatever you want to call it. But it's between Johntay Cook and Hykeem Williams. These players are different in terms of play style, but their career arcs are very similar. These were both players that were 5-star high school recruits in the 2023 recruiting cycle. They both obviously went to big-time programs as a result. Johntay Cook goes to Texas. Hykeem Williams goes to Florida State. But for one reason or another, neither wide receiver has really taken off and lived up to 5-star expectations. But it's obviously for different reasons. And we talked about yesterday with a guy like Hykeem Williams, so we don't need to rehash it too much. But injuries have played a role with him not being able to get on the field as much. And also the situations at Florida State have not necessarily been ideal. In 2023, there was just too many weapons at Florida State for even a 5-star true freshman to truly crack playing time. And then last year, they had the worst quarterback situation in the ACC, if not the entire Power Four. Not exactly conducive for a wide receiver. Nobody ate on Florida State's offense a year ago. And then you got Johntay Cook, who it appears, and what I have been told is it's more on him really than it is the situations he's been in. With Johntay Cook, he is an electric talent. And for Syracuse, he could be a real burner. And by that, I mean he could take the top off of defense. He is a deep threat for Syracuse if he were to commit. And he's actually already visited the team. I believe the same day as quarterback Steve Angeli, Johntay Cook was also in town. But does he have it up here? Does he truly want to be great? Now, look, I'm not saying this to be super duper critical of Johntay Cook or to say that I don't want him with Syracuse. In fact, maybe Syracuse is the school for a guy like Johntay Cook, for him to resurrect his career, or not really resurrect, but kind of reboot his career, because he's still a really young guy and he's still really talented. And I don't believe that he is beyond repair. So maybe Syracuse is the team for a guy like Johntay Cook. He is an electric talent, and I think I would take the chance on a guy like him because I think he can help Syracuse win more games next season. What do you think? Do you want to see Syracuse go after Johntay Cook? I mean, they already are. Do you agree with Syracuse going after Johntay Cook? I want to hear from you in the comment section below. As far as what is coming up on Locked On Syracuse in the future, barring any significant breaking news tomorrow, there will be no podcast, but we will return on Sunday, probably with more transfer portal coverage, whether it's Syracuse basketball or Syracuse football. Should be noted, you've made it to this point of the podcast, so thank you. Syracuse basketball did not get Jerry Dang, and they also did not get Jarrett Valencia. Those portal options are really starting to dwindle, and my goodness, I don't know. I mean, it's still April 25th at the time of this recording, so hopefully Syracuse basketball can land another significant portal ad in this portal cycle. All right? But that does just about does it. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this podcast, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoy the podcast, be sure to hit subscribe. Tell all your friends about Locked On Syracuse. And folks, for your second listen, you might want to check out the Locked On Portal Show with expert Brian Smith, who's got the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. And you can be the most informed college football fan right now and really read into all the rapid changes in college football. You can find the Locked On Portal podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. Everyone, take care.